Greetings, fellow man. Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again, and today I want to comment a little bit about the PewDiePie situation and the hit piece that the Wall Street Journal wrote about him. Now, I just want to give you a couple of thoughts that came up when I thought about the thing, and I want to go from the general to the more specific here. So generally, I would say that PewDiePie, or Felix, is a white European man, and he is very successful. And more than that, he is not going all SJW and is self-flagellating all the time, checking his privilege and saying I'm sorry to all sorts of minorities and to women every day. He is just doing his thing, and he is successful doing that. And that alone, I would say, in this day and age, will mark him as a potential target, and as soon as he missteps, he will be made an actual target, and this is what happened in this case. So if he would behave like Steve Shives, or like this Democratic Party woman who said that it's her job to shut other white people down so that black people can have a voice or something like that. I mean, this kind of self-hatred is kind of expected these days from white people if they want to be in a prominent position in the media, and PewDiePie doesn't do that. I mean, you can say that he's just doing stupid shit, and I have to admit, the first video that I watched of PewDiePie was actually when he was playing Amnesia, this horror game, because I mean, I really like horror games, I have to say, and I was just googling for that game. I wanted to see in-game footage and not just some graphics or some reports. I wanted to see how that game actually looks like. So, and he made a video on that, and I just thought back then, this is actually hilarious. I mean, he acted like he is really scared and afraid, and it was very crazy, over the top kind of reactions to the scary stuff that was going on in this game, and I chuckled a bit actually. I found it very entertaining, I have to admit. I didn't subscribe because I thought it was too silly and the target audience is maybe a little bit younger, but I have to say it was pretty entertaining, and I saw how that game looks like. So it was actually the information I was looking for. So that was a couple of years ago. As I said, the game Amnesia is a little older already, and I haven't watched any of his videos since then, I have to say. And now the story comes up. So, okay, first point was, as a not self-flagellating white European man, he is a target anyway. Okay. The second point I would want to make is that the established mainstream media here attacks probably the most successful internet persona, I think. I mean, 53 million subscribers, that is quite a bit. And now PewDiePie is not a alternative media journalist. He is not the Young Turks or the Rebel Media or something like that. He is not Breitbart News or something. But nevertheless, he is a representative of the online community, of the new media in general, even though he's not a political alternative journalist, so to speak. But nevertheless, there is, of course, this kind of envy at the moment in the mainstream media, and it's more than envy, it's panic. It's pure panic. And many people might not be aware of that, but make no mistake, these people are afraid right now. They are actually flipping out because they know that their retirement, their pensions are in danger, their jobs are in danger, the lifestyles that they have, this big salary that they thought they would have, is in actual danger right now. If their subscription numbers or their viewer numbers or something, if they are further in decline like they are for the last years, the end of the line could be reached soon. So they are in full panic mode. And I still remember that some older teachers of mine, when we were doing research for a presentation in school or something, they always told us, the internet is not a reliable source. Don't cite the internet as one of your sources, right? It's not reliable stuff. And this is how these dinosaurs think. This is how these old people think like. They are just afraid of a world that they cannot really navigate in, and that they to a certain degree also don't understand. And of course, not everything you find on the internet is true. This is what we noticed here. I mean, what the Wall Street Journal wrote was bullshit because they took literal what was clearly a joke, right? But all the fake news that we see lately just tells us that not only do you have to be wary about what's on the internet, it's also the established media that basically lies all the time. And they also don't have the time, or they don't want to put the effort into doing actual research. And this is what would be needed in order to secure a viewership or an audience. But this is what they do not want to do anymore because they're self-complacent and lazy. And quite frankly, I don't think they have the intellectual capacity to be proper journalists anyway. So the third point I want to make is that it becomes really fashionable now to just see Nazis everywhere. And I said that before, and I will say this again because it just goes on and on. If you cry wolf too many times, people will stop believing you. Or another way to put it is the blade that you wield at the moment will become blunt sooner or later when you overuse it. Or another way yet to put it is, why do you think people make Nazi jokes right now? Why do you think people are creating memes with Pepe or with swastikas or with Hitler? Why do you think that is? It's not that people all of a sudden became more anti-Semite than they used to be. No, it's because the mainstream media is hysterical. They are just seeing Nazis everywhere, and it is so ridiculous and so just crazy that people start mocking them for it. This is the mechanism that I see at work here. It's not that people all of a sudden become fascist or something. It is because the mainstream media is so crazy that they see Nazis behind every corner, and they declare, even PewDiePie is declared a Nazi now or an anti-Semite, and all these hysteric protesters that claim that there are hate crimes and Nazis everywhere on college campus on top of all. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And some people online are just mocking this mass hysteria. That's all it is. And then the media looks at some of these jokes and takes it basically as proof that there are Nazis around. It's actually crazy. It's so crazy. They are so insane right now that they don't even see that people are just mocking them, and they fall for it again. So they say that PewDiePie went too far now and he trolled too hard and all that stuff, but really, did he? So I think the only people that look really foolish in this are the mainstream media, because they got trolled, and people do realize that they just didn't get the context, and they just look like complete fools right now, and no wonder that no one takes them serious anymore. And my last observation that I want to make, or the last side note here before I conclude, is that maybe in America this is relatively new that you are called a Nazi for just being a conservative, or for just trying to promote family values, or just not being a Marxist. Basically, that is enough. Not being a Marxist, not being a cultural Marxist or a feminist or a Stalinist or a socialist, just not being that will already make you a suspect, and people will call you an anti-Semite and a Nazi, even though it has nothing to do with hatred of Jews. But you know where this is actually an old hat? In my country, in Germany. I mean, of course, when you're a hippie and you cannot just point a finger at a representative of the greatest generation, an American war veteran who actually fought against the Nazis in Europe, you cannot call him a Nazi. That would be ridiculous, right? I mean, just try to imagine in the 1960s or 70s some spoiled hippie brat calling a war veteran who fought against Hitler in Europe a Nazi. That is ridiculous, right? But now that the Second World War is ancient history, conservative people can safely be labeled Nazis again by Marxists. And this is what we see right now. So in my country, this has always been the case, you know. You just say one sound word, you just use your common sense a little bit, boom, you're a Nazi. But in Germany, it never gets old because the Third Reich is part of our history, of course. Now, in America, you do not have this Nazi guilt or Holocaust guilt, so I just can't imagine that you would actually accept this in the long run. I mean, they try it now, but I don't really see this working in America. It still works pretty well in Germany, but even here you start getting diminishing returns, so to speak, on the side of the Marxists when they use this Nazi slur. So, okay, to sum up, first of all, a successful white man who is not self-flagellating is always a good target. Second of all, old media dinosaurs attacking the new media in full panic mode. Third point being that there is an actual I see Nazis everywhere hysteria in the Western world, but especially in the United States right now, with fake accounts of so-called Nazi hate crimes. And then in the end, I can just say welcome to the club, because for conservative people in Germany, it has always been like that since World War II. So, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Servus, Kameraden.